Today, in history, in the year 1789, the French revolutionaries stormed the fortress of Bastille. Also today, in the year 1798, the Alien and Sedition Act was passed as a temporary federal law. Both of these days are etched into history. However, another momentous occasion occurred today, in our time. Today, July 14th, 2018, a very popular drug for treating high blood pressure was removed from the market by the FDA due to its carcinogenic properties. With that in mind, today we will be comparing and contrasting alternative medicine, specifically herbal remedies, and to the traditional pharmaceutical products. The 3 points we will be examining are the origins of modern medicine, the cost efficiency, and finally, the scientific testing. To begin with, our first point, what is the origin of modern medicine? Most people are surprised to learn that pharmacology is a newer concept than what they give it credit for. They're surprised to learn that the first synthetic chemical for medicinal use was only made in the mid-19th century. Today, it's not even 200 years old. Another point I would like to bring out is that most people believe that antibiotics are synthetically made in labs. This is false because laboratories only take the existing properties of the plant and duplicate and modify them into a more concentrated form for human consumption. Let's take the drug ephedra, for example. Ephedra is one of the oldest herbs known and is known for its properties to help treat respiratory disorders such as asthma. Many are surprised and even shocked to learn that ephedra is what gives us the modern day ephedrine and pseudoephedrine, which we now call Sudafed. Yes, the chemical properties of ephedra can be synthetically made in a lab, but the synthetic product is not more or less effective than the natural compound. While we're on the topic of efficiency, it brings me to my next point. Herbs are cheaper and just as effective as synthetic products. Currently, Americans are spending $200 billion a year on pharmaceutical products. On the other hand, they're only spending a tenth of that on herbal supplements. Herbal supplements cost about roughly, for all Americans, $20 billion a year. And I know this seems like a really big number, so I want to break it down to a day-to-day base. We're going to use the drug Celebrex, for example. Celebrex is given to help treat arthritis inflammation, but it costs $4 a day to take. While on the other hand, ginger, a herb known for helping with inflammation, only costs 38 cents a day. Now that I've shown you the cost differences, I want to show you the effectiveness. I want to read you a clinical study done by scientists comparing ginger and scopolamine for motion sickness, or in this case, it was for seasickness. In 2000, scientists took people with motion sickness and divided them out into two groups. One group took ginger while the other group took scopolamine. After taking their prescriptions, they were sent out on a boat to go whale watching, and then when they were brought back, the scientists recorded their interviews and observations. 82% to 85.5% of the people who took ginger said they felt well or very well during their whale watching experience. When the scientists compared this to the people that took scopolamine, they learned that scopolamine was not as effective as ginger. My final point is the tested and FDA approved drugs are just as dangerous as the untested herbal supplements. In the recent decades, we have seen the fall of the FDA being brought into more and more light. Not just today with the recall of the drug, but also in 2004, there was another major recall. This drug, Vioxx, was supposedly safe, but later it was discovered that it was increasing its patients' chances of having a heart attack. 4 million Americans took this drug, and 140,000 of them suffered a heart attack from it. And now that 140,000, 60,000 of them died from it. And I know that seems like a big number, so I'm going to break it down into a more one-on-one proportion level. That 4 billion turns into 28 people. Now, out of that 28, 12 of them are at risk of dying. And out of that 12, 2 of them actually die from it. My final point is that FDA approval committees sometimes include members that have ties to certain pharmaceutical companies, which cause a conflict of interest. I want to read you out a statistics done by surveyors about people inside the FDA. 19% of the staff says that they felt pressure to release a drug into the market that they still had reservations about. 66% of them said that they felt that the FDA wasn't properly monitoring the new prescriptions after they had left the laboratory. And 50% of the entire staff said that they don't feel that the FDA is going in the right direction. Today, you have been informed about the early beginnings of pharmacology, the correlation of cost productivity, and the methodical research of herbalism. It should be noted that just like pharmaceuticals, not all herbal remedies will work on all people. One seems safe, but it's not clinically proven. On the other hand, one is heavily regulated and tested, but it's not always safe, as we have seen. In our times, we have access to a vast amount of information due to the World Wide Web. We can research topics and make an informed decision about them. So at the end, it's always going to be a personal choice of whether we take natural supplements or pharmaceuticals. But at the very, very end, always ask yourself the big question. Are you going to think twice before taking that prescription your doctor hands you?